Yes, hello. Welcome
Hi.
to I Have a Voice. Today we are talking about a,
What are we talking about?
a wonderful topic for you women out there, how to communicate to your husband,
Or to you, man. Like
to your man.
I call you my man.
Yeah, well, if you're dating or whatever, it's to your boyfriend. But have you ever had a situation where you were having difficulty getting through with your message and your spouse hearing what you were trying to say? Look, it happens all the time. And today we're going to give you seven strategies. Yeah, seven strategies to really improve your communication with your husband, boyfriend, uh,
AK man.
AK man.
So is this
You got to
because
push over. You're getting out of the picture.
oh, I don't like to be out of the frame. So yeah, because you got the camera like all the way over here on your
All right,
side.
there we go.
Uh-huh. I fuss him. He tries to steal the hog the he's a camera hog. But are you doing this because you want me to communicate better? Is that what you're doing?
No, that's not my motive.
Oh,
You're really good at communicating. In fact, HollyKem is one of the best communicators I've ever been around in terms of, and I think that's why she does so good as a therapist. Excuse me, is because
you having something in your throat?
she's such a good communicator.
Thank you.
When women come to you and say, "I just don't know how to communicate to my husband," what do you tell them? What kind?
First, well, the first thing you have to do is you have to listen to every single word before you respond. And then you don't respond, you clarify to see if that is exactly what they're trying
Mhm.
to say. And then I give people an eraser and say, if I say this is what I'm going to say, what I think you said, if I don't get it correct, erase what I said and fix it.
Fix it.
Fix it.
Well, that's good.
Because you know what happens if you don't?
What?
I become lonely if I don't know how to listen.
I see.
See, and I don't like to be lonely.
Well, there's a number of strategies that we're going to talk
Let's see
about
what you put up there.
today. But I wanted to recommend this book. This is it's a bit outdated because it was written a long time ago.
What you got?
A guy, I think his name was John Gray. He wrote "Men are from Mars and Women
Venus.
are from Venus,"
Good book.
and it's all about how we're wired differently. I know today we're in a time of gender fluidity and all that stuff. Look, men and women are different. It's true in a lot of different ways. In a lot of ways, we're exactly the same, but in some ways, we're different. And it's important to understand those differences. So, we're going to help you today do that. But if you're interested in that book, I know it's still around. I'll put a link in the notes below so that you can get it. But it's well worth the read, don't you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because it just points out your humanness in on one side versus the other side, and it helps you listen better.
Yeah. So let's get into the seven tips or strategies on how to talk to your spouse.
What you got?
Number one, ready?
Mhm.
Be direct, honest, and loving. Yeah.
Yeah, direct don't mean ugly.
No, it means be direct, right? It
Mhm,
means honest, but the third is most important,
mhm.
is loving. It's not saying be direct, honest, and spiteful,
Right.
or direct, honest, and hateful, or even direct, honest, and rageful. Look, you know, men like women, once we feel attacked, we get into fight or flight, and we're either going to withdraw
Mhm.
and run, or we're going to fight and attack. And so the way to avoid moving us into a place of fight or flight, or that's the old brain. If you
Right.
understand uh, the different parts of our brain, once the old brain gets activated and we get into fight or flight, look, we pull out our gun or we
Mhm.
start running, and there's nothing in between. And so it's important to be direct, it's important to be honest, and it's also important to communicate it in a kind and loving way. And that will maximize the chances of you being heard. So, don't you agree?
Oh, I definitely agree. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you have the I statements in here.
Yeah, I think we do it towards the end.
Okay, well, okay.
We'll get to that.
Okay. Well,
There's a lot of them in here.
well, you got 7. I don't know what you got. I
Uh,
could be. I could put one up there without knowing.
all right. Well, let's go to number 2. Avoid black and white language. Avoid black and white language. What does that mean? It means stop using the words every time, never, always. Look, if HollyKem says you're always late, you're always late. You know where my mind's going to go to? That one time in the last 30 days that I was not late, and I'm going to tell you about it.
That's right.
And so black and white language is language that escalates arguments, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, and whatever you're discussing gets lost.
Right. It gets lost.
Totally gets lost.
Yes. And so you need to really work on your language. Sometimes you come home late. Oftentimes you come on late. Many times. But when you speak in language of the gray, it actually makes it a lot easier to be heard.
Well, and it's also when you come home late.
When you come home late.
This is what happens to me.
Yeah. And we'll get to that one because generalizations aren't always good. You want to be specific. But we really want you to work on not using black and white language.
Which it's always and never.
It's interesting. When you look at the development of individuals, children think in black and white. Mm-hmm. Adults think in the gray. Hopefully.
We're supposed to be thinking in the gray.
But you know what it tells me when someone's talking in never and always, they're actually have been triggered and they're regressing to a younger age.
Right. They get stuck in that area.
Yeah. And so I might be in a 57-year-old body, but I feel like a 6-year-old right now. And I'm talking like a 6-year-old or a 14-year-old adolescent.
Yeah, that's not attractive.
And so really that has to do with emotional management, but be intentional about avoiding black and white language. Yeah, we're moving through these good. Let's get to number 3. Number 3 is stay on topic and stay on the specific incident. Mm-hmm. What do you want to say about that?
Well, what happens is when we're, working through stuff is that when we're communicating, the topic, which the minute we get triggered, we're gone. And, if you're trying to get somewhere with your man, you're trying to communicate and get either resolve a problem or have a feeling heard that you need nurtured, or you need to make a decision, asking them to be part of that decision, or they need to be a part of that decision. If you get off of topic, you're not going to get what you want. And I don't mean just getting what you want. I mean, getting the conversation to have some merit and some substance.
Right.
So if it's like, the topic is our children going to what school they're going to go to. And now I'm talking about everybody else and why they like that school, who's going to that school, when we're going to that school, versus what I value about the schools. Why I like the school. Why do you like that school? But whatever the topic is, you got to stay grounded in the topic. You can't be going like talking about other people in the topic.
Yes.
Because your man's not going to be wanting to listen to that.
Look, men are pretty simple creatures.
Yes.
and sometimes if you go from topic to topic, it's confusing. It's like, well, I thought we're talking about schools here.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about Aunt Edna, who was a bad tutor. I mean, how did we get there? So really stay on topic. And the other important part of staying on topic and stay specific is when, if HollyKem was upset about me being late on a Wednesday, when you came home an hour late, it was really upsetting to me. Right. All right. Specific and staying on topic means that you don't tie that incident to the other 100 times that I was late. No, you keep it independent. You were late Wednesday. You were late 2 weeks ago. You've been late 47 times in the last 6 months, and you were late for our rehearsal dinner. And so I'm going to say, well, you were late for
Right.
the wedding,
Right.
and you were late when, and it is
Right.
no, 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 no. You just have to deal with the one incident. You don't have to tie it in the past, even if it's a habitual behavior, because once you start tying it into the past, you get lost in a loop that's almost impossible to get out of.
Right.
So be specific. Look, Wednesday you came home an hour and a half late, and it was really upsetting. The other caveat to throw in with this is that women often like to be heard, but men like solutions. Yeah, yeah. Men like solutions.
Men are fixers.
They're fixers.
Like a mechanic.
And so make your request known. Be specific about your request. Well, he should know. Well, maybe he should, but be specific.
That's right.
Look, if I'm hearing something that HollyKem's upset about, she wants me to hear what her emotion is saying, what her heart's saying.
Right.
I'm looking for the solution to fix this thing,
Right,
to get her to be less upset.
That's right. You want the feeling out of here.
Well, it's not just that. It's I want it better. I want it better.
Right, right.
And
because
so,
you love me and you don't want me seeing me all upset, and right.
And so if she says, I'm upset about you coming home late on Wednesday, and it's really upsetting, we can talk about that. But give a solution. Look, next time if you're running late, can you make sure and call me? Or can you apologize and work on being home on time on Wednesday?
Right.
Yeah, you need to be specific and give the request. Look, I teach the men, and perhaps we'll do a show on how to communicate with your wife.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And I'll be telling the men, I said, look, don't provide the solution. Just hear them out. Just hear them out. Ask good questions. See how they're feeling, and talk it out. But a man likes a solution, and he'll participate in wanting you to give him a solution.
Very true.
This is true.
And of course, we want them to have the solution. But if they're being the problem, how are they going to have the solution? They're you have to you gotta. What is it that I need to have this solved? And if you don't know, then you need to say that. I really don't know what's going to solve this problem, but we need some solutions.
We need some solutions.
Yeah. Because now the other thing is, if the man just tries to fix it, ain't going to work. The man needs to validate that I hear that you're very, very upset, and that when I'm late, it really upsets you.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, well, she's just going to keep going.
That's true.
That you have to say, I'm really sorry that I'm late, and I can see how upset you are about that.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm going to work on that. How can I work on that? What is it that you need me to do?
Yeah.
It's like an interview. Like, pretend you're like Tucker, or pretend you're like Anderson Cooper. I don't know. Pretend you're somebody, but you're interviewing someone.
What, when you have a problem?
Yeah, like when the guy has a problem, like when the female is really upset, and then you're asking questions.
Oh,
like
I see.
You said.
Asking.
You're asking questions.
Well, that brings us perfect to the next one,
good.
Right? The next one is ask good questions.
Yeah.
And be an active listener.
Yes.
Yes. Ask good questions.
Yes.
And be an active listener.
Now, one of the things is that you have to listen to ask a good question.
This is true.
Yeah. If you're just asking questions, and you're not listening, you're going to ask stupid questions. I hate that word, but I'm using it. I hate the word stupid. But because when you're not, you've all seen that. You've all been around when someone asks a stupid question. You're like, duh. It's like, why are you asking that question? Now I'm going to be aggravated with you because you asked a stupid question. Versus if you listen to what I'm saying, if you truly don't understand or you want some more information, if you truly listen, you go, I really don't understand what you're saying right now. Can you slow down just a little bit? Because I really do want to know what you're saying. Because when somebody says, you don't understand me, you know what I say? But I want to. help me understand you.
That's good.
I want to understand. I want to hear your heart. I want to. I don't want to cause pain. This is not my goal in life. So I want to hear it.
Yeah. When you're talking about listening,
Yeah,
you need to listen with your eyes, you need to listen with your ears, and you need to listen with your heart.
definitely.
And what I mean by that is that you have to see with your eyes what the other person's saying and actually communicate that back. I see that you're angry.
You're right.
I see that you're upset. I see in your eyes that you're hurting. I see in your tears that you're sad. So you hear with your eyes, you hear with your ears, in the sense, as HollyKem was saying, you need to hear what they're saying. You need to hear the words. And hearing with your heart means you're hearing what's going on emotionally as best you can.
Right.
And I'm perceiving that you're upset, you're anxious, you're scared, you're excited, you're happy, whatever it is. But it's on those three levels that a really good listener is able to hear on all three levels. Because how many of y'all know that those three levels for the other person are not always in accord? HollyKem look at me and she say, like, my veins are popping out of my neck and I'm angry. And she says, are you angry? And I say, no, I'm not angry. Well, that happens. And I may not even be aware, but if she's hearing with her eyes, ears, and heart, she actually helps me integrate better what's happening.
Yeah. And a really, really good word to use, you should practice in a mirror, is it appears that you're really upset. It appears that you're really angry. Appears doesn't mean saying, I know exactly what you're feeling. But appears is that I'm with you, I hear you, and I want to know in case I'm wrong here. So appears is a really good word to describe what I'm seeing in front of me. And then that way that person can, like, it appears, honey, that you're just really upset about this. Yes, I'm upset. Yes.
Tell us about what tips you would use or you suggest to use with your spouse. Yeah, just write in the comments.
Worked for you.
Yeah, because we're looking to always expand
Yes.
this and learn from you guys. So tell us what has worked with you for communicating with your man. Yeah,
my man.
Your man, huh?
Yeah.
Let's get to number 5. Look, you need to avoid the blame game. Yeah. Even if it's his fault, even if it's 100% his fault, you have to avoid the blame game. Look, most oftentimes it takes 2 to tango, right? And so if I do something that's clearly out of line towards my wife, and I'm responsible, but you don't always have to point that out. Really. You don't always have to point it out. Look,
so what would you like us to do? What would you like me to do?
Just be specific about what you're upset with. I mean, when you get in the blame game, you're actually beginning to assassinate the other's character. Right? I mean, going back to the example of being late. Look, she could be upset that I'm late. I could have had a flat tire. I could be chronically late. I could have a hard time leaving work and making sure I have everything done. It could be a number of different things. But the issue is, I need to figure that out. I just need to know I was late and she was upset, and that's enough. I don't really need a character assassination of how inconsiderate I am and how I don't care and I'm a narcissist and I'm self-centered and I'm a horrible partner. All right. Look, it's enough said that I'm really upset because you're late.
Right.
And that's what I mean by blame. I'm not saying that you don't hold the other person responsible. Don't misunderstand me.
Right.
But once you get into really blaming the other person, and oftentimes fights can last a long time when you're trying to figure out who's to blame. No, you to blame. No, you to blame. No, you to blame. You to blame. You to blame. I'm to blame. You to blame. No, I'm not to blame. You're to blame. And we go on and on. Look, just put the blame down right now and be specific about the behavior, right?
That is so true.
So, well, let's go to the next one. What number we're at?
I have no idea, but I was listening. 5.
Number
Or go
5.
to
We're going to go to
6.
number 6. Yes. Choose a good time and a good place to talk.
Yes.
Yes. Be strategic about that. I mean, some things need to be handled right on the spot. Understand that when it happens. But oftentimes, some of the worst times to talk about difficult things is when things are really bad.
Yeah.
Look, if your husband's drunk and you want to talk to him about being drunk, don't talk to him when he's drunk.
Don't do it.
Next morning when you're having coffee,
Yes.
that's when you talk. Look, you have to be strategic about finding a good time and place. You often talk about when's the best time to talk to a man.
Well, the best, you know, there's a way to talk to a man in the sense of the way I'm sitting right now is the best way to talk to a man, side by side. So you go for a walk because you're side by side. You go take a ride in the car, side by side. You sit in a booth at a restaurant or a coffee shop, side by side, if you want to really talk. Because think about little boys when they are communicating with their friends. Where are they? Side by side. And a baseball game, side by side. Football, side by side. When they're watching sports, side by side. Little girls, we look in each other's little face. Hey! Well, that's not how boys like to communicate, because when they communicate, they go into their head and think and come back and process. They go in their head, think, and come back and process. Well, the little girl's like staring at you like this. What you want to say? What you want to say? Well, what you got to say about that? What you got to say about that? Well, that doesn't really work well. So, if you want to talk to your man, you go for a walk. You go to a coffee shop. You sit next to him. You go for a ride. Then they can think, and you're not staring them in the eye, and they're not on. So this is the best way to communicate as far as positioning your body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
You see?
It's
You
true.
just don't even know. This is what I do.
I feel so heard right now. So, I mean, this is the best it's been in a long time. No.
Oh my God.
Well, I think there's a lot of wisdom in that, and I think that also, men's egos are pretty fragile.
They are, boo-boo.
Yeah,
sorry.
I even find it a little more fragile than women's oftentimes.
Yes.
And that really.
Well, can I go here?
Go ahead. Go here.
Go ahead.
I'm listening. This is good talk.
We're sitting side by side. You know what? I think. I mean, this is just a part, but men are supposedly the caretaker and the provider. And I mean, I always think about this, like if you're like, you want to, in high school, okay, or even outside high school, you want to ask someone on a date, you want to go ask for a dance, you are the one that has to step up and get crushed every freaking time. No. The girl said, no, I don't want to go on a date. No, I don't want to go dance with you. No, that is crushing by the time you're a man. I would think it would crush me as a human being. It's like, so yeah, I guess a man's ego is a little fragile. And then, the competition thing and the testosterone, like one up. Hey, dude, I hit the ball further than you. Hey, dude, I was able to catch the ball. Hey, dude, I made a better grade than you. I mean, that's a lot of competition.
Yeah, men are really good at moving into fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
They're good. Yeah,
that's right.
It's true. And the women often like, we're just talking, we're just communicating, we're just talking it out. Look, the minute the man starts to feel attacked, it's like the old caveman hunter,
Right.
He pulls out the spear and he's ready to fight, or he's going to run. One of the two.
Right.
And
running cannot mean that the man leaves the house.
No,
they check out.
But I would say that also, if it's really a hot topic, oftentimes men need time to process.
Yes, that's why you sit next to them, not in front of their face.
Yeah. And so even if you don't get to resolution, my
Right.
suggestion is say, I know there's a lot that we're talking about.
Mhm.
Let's just give it a little time. We'll come back and talk about it tomorrow or whatever. But sometimes if it's really something very important to you, create a space to allow the man to go to his cave and process, right?
Yeah.
To just have to think through it. Because oftentimes in a situation where they feel blindsided, that we may not know how to respond right at that moment,
Right.
but we will respond. And sometimes it takes some time to just digest what's being said and then come back and speak. And so, allow that, and don't always think that they're running and refusing to talk. Now, man, you have to follow up. I mean, you can't just
Right.
walk away and leave it go. But I do think that's important. HollyKem's an external processor, and she processes very quickly,
Yes, I do.
very quickly. And sometimes she doesn't understand, and she takes it that I'm not caring because I'm not processing at the same level that she is. And that sometimes you just need to give time to process that. So you find a good time and a good place, and just like this, look, do a show, a YouTube show, and bring up the topics that you need to talk
in
about.
front of people, you'll be a lot nicer.
That's right. In front of the world. All right, let's get to number 7.
What we got?
Number 7 is put your thoughts and emotions in words.
Mhm.
Now that sounds pretty simple,
Mhm.
but it's not always real simple.
Mhm.
He should understand how I'm feeling. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He may
Yeah.
not be listening with his eyes, ears, and his heart.
That's right.
And oftentimes, in sensitive subjects, I find that sometimes women can be more subtle about what they're trying to communicate, and then they get upset that we're not getting it. And you should know. Know what? You haven't told me yet. Yeah, but this is simple. You should know.
No, they don't know.
A lot of communication is nonverbal.
Mhm.
So if HollyKem looks irritated, she could be irritated that the plumber's late and it's not
Right.
here. She just had a difficult conversation with a friend or someone in her family.
Right, or a client,
or
or
she's
something.
mad at something I said or that I came. And the irritation is there, and it really helps when she puts words to what's going on, because then we have a better understanding. And this ties into using I statements.
I statements.
Look, the most simple formula to use is I felt blank when
This happened. Are you
blank. I felt upset when you came home an hour and a half late, period.
Mm-hmm.
I felt sad when I found out about this person.
Mm-hmm.
I felt whatever. Look, it's a real simple formula, but it's specific, it's direct, it's about yourself and not the other person.
That's right.
You statements are you're selfish and you're always running late.
Oh, that
right?
ain't gonna work good.
All right. You threw your first punch and
Mhm.
mine's coming back.
That's right.
And what about you?
Right.
Well, you.
And
No,
you.
no. Use your I statements.
Mhm.
And as that happens, it's hard to argue with how it impacts you and what you're talking about. And be specific. Look, you practice these principles, and it'll improve your communication and your relationship with your man. Right?
Yes. And I like my man. I want to be close to my man. I want to be my man, be my best friend. I want to enjoy my man. I want to know his heart. I want to know what he loves, what he doesn't love, what excites him. So I want to listen. I want to
Yeah.
know him.
Tell us today, what tip is it that you like that you're going to
Yes.
practice out of the 7 tips? and tell us which ones you're really doing well at. You know, we want to hear from you. We want to hear you, which what you're thinking about in the comments. So feel free to do that. We love to hear from you.
Yes.
And the final thing is, we also have a couple of more videos that at the end of the broadcast here you'll be able to link on YouTube. Is we have one, talk it out. We're going to a lot more depth about talking out issues instead of acting them out. And then the other one that we invite you to look at is the importance of forgiveness, especially in a relationship.
Mm.
So watch those videos. I think they'll really be helpful for you. And until next time, we say,
I have a voice. Have a